Right, okay, so just so that we're all singing from the same hymn sheet, which I guess is quite an apt metaphor for today, nature-based solutions, what are we talking about? So this is the use of the natural processes of an ecosystem to help us with a crisis that we are facing, or crises that we're facing. An environmental crisis, climate change crisis, that is what it's all about. So for us, in this room, we're probably most interested in a system which can help clean water. And when it comes to that crisis that we are facing in our river pollution, the superhero of the nature-based solutions is without doubt wetlands. So those fens, those marshes, those bogs, those salt marshes, those are the solution that we have to solve this problem. However, nature-based solutions are not a silver bullet, okay? I would love to sit here for my 5 minutes to tell you how that we are going to solve the problem that we were discussing yesterday. We're not. Nature-based solutions are not a silver bullet. However, what they are is an essential tool in the toolkit that we must have to address this problem. That's what nature-based solutions are. And as I said, wetlands are the superheroes when it comes to this, and that's for many reasons. And one of the reasons is the vast variety of different wetland types that we have at our disposal and the things that those wetlands can do. They can sequester carbon. They can add biodiversity to a habitat. They can protect our soil, which we all now know we should love dearly. Although I would stress as well that I'm not a soil fan, actually. I'm sorry. I'm actually a mud fan. I find soil a bit too dry. Add a bit of water to it, you got mud, then I'm happy as a wetland scientist. But wetlands can protect our soil, which we love, and our coasts, etc. But they also remove pollution. They do this by a fantastic way of the kind of microbes, the soil and the plants all acting together. Amazing systems, a natural system. They can remove pollution, the nitrates and phosphates, which we were really concerned about yesterday, but they can also remove other pollutants as well, other emergent contaminants. We talked about very briefly yesterday about drugs, illicit and pharmaceutical waste that is entering our rivers. That is without doubt the ticking time bomb, which we don't really want to talk about because the consequences could be so dire when it comes to our water quality. Wetlands, as we've shown at Bangor University, have the ability to remove a whole host of those types of pollutants. We did some work looking at Glastonbury Festival and the amount of cocaine and ecstasy that was flowing out of the Glastonbury Festival was extremely environmentally damaging high. How it possibly got there, we couldn't tell you for legal reasons. It just so happened that Glastonbury Festival was being held at the time we were monitoring. Wetlands could help with that absolute problem there. And we've known this for throughout history. The Aztecs, the ancient Egyptians, used wetlands to help them. We have that knowledge. Yet despite knowing how great wetlands are, since the 1700s we've destroyed 75% of our wetlands in the UK, which is an absolute travesty. But if we're looking at now how we can use wetlands now, there's two main ways that we can do this. The first is management. Manage what we've currently got far better. This could be a look at restoration, but it's management. An example of that would be our river buffer strips, which we have denuded our landscape of for various reasons. We've overgrazed, we've developed, we've canalised our rivers. We have destroyed so much of our riparian wetlands. Those soggy bits between the water and the land are absolutely magical at removing pollutants, and we've destroyed that ability for nature, for our rivers to heal, to clean themselves. We must look at that. And the other is constructing, using machinery, whatever it may be, to actually make wetlands, constructed treatment wetlands. Now these can be on a large scale, really kind of highly managed systems, and we can even kind of force air through them, all sorts of ways of doing it, but still using those natural processes. Or they can be much more low-key. They can be SUDs, sustainable drainage systems. And again, these can be really high-tech, or they can be literally as simple as insisting that we have permeable paving on all our car parks. The whole breadth of nature-based solutions is available to us if we harness it when it comes to the use of wetlands. So what do we need to create this part of the solution? Well, the first thing we need is research, and I would say that as a research scientist. I would most certainly be banging on about how important research is, but it is absolutely essential here. We need to understand these processes. And then we need to implement them, even if we know that they work already, but we need to implement them. And I know that Gail, I'm not going to steal Gail's thunder here, but Gail is going to talk about some of the issues that we have about implementing them. And one of the crucial things there is legislation. We need to understand how we can actually get them built legally, and so they can actually be used in this country. But the potential of using wetlands is huge. Just last week, WWT, Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, showed that if we just invested £3 billion over the 27 years, wetlands could create £11 billion of benefits to this country. And I would stress, I think that's a very conservative value, because they didn't really look at treatment wetlands in that. It was mostly based on flooding and various other factors, which again, nature wetlands can help us with that water management, slowing the flow, preventing flooding, but also controlling river flows during dry seasons as well, which was touched on yesterday as well. So there's huge benefits, huge potential of using wetlands, and we must address that. Let's look at Wales just alone. The top 5 rivers, the largest 5 rivers in Wales, are around about 1,000 kilometres in length. It's not including all the tributaries, etc., etc. If we could insist that the majority of those wetlands, of those rivers, had that wonderful river buffer strip, riparian buffer strip. Think of the potential that could have in cleaning our waters. And that's before we even start on using constructed treatment wetlands in targeted positions. And this is important when we're looking at wetlands and nature-based solutions. To steal a quote from the foresters, because foresters always seem ahead of the game with this, which is really annoying as a wetland scientist, so apologies to any foresters here, is that we need the right wetlands in the right place. That's absolutely crucial. One other wonderful aspect about nature-based solutions, about wetlands, is the public involvement. Yesterday we talked a lot about the problems of agriculture. But in Wales, there are only around about 40,000 farmers in Wales. So we're putting a lot of kind of pressure on those farmers to do things differently. But nature-based solutions, using wetlands, is something that people can do in their own villages, in their own streets, wherever they live, to a certain degree. We could be looking at sustainable drainage systems on a small scale and a larger scale as well. But it's something that the public can see and actually, if the community projects are done correctly, actually get involved in as well. And that, I think, helps with the communication issues, which we were talking about yesterday, and this disconnect people can often feel about, it's a huge problem, our rivers are polluted, but what can I do? Well, actually, you could actually start to encourage your village, your town, your city to get involved with some sustainable drainage systems. Those are the sorts of things that you can do as an individual. You cannot tarmac over your drive, for example. These are things, individual actions. And that's really important to create that connection between the problem and the solution with members of the public. We must look at this and we must address this as an emergency if we are serious about it. We must reintroduce wetlands, we must manage wetlands, we must construct wetlands on nothing short of a war footing in this country if we want to address this problem seriously. And there's as a Second World War bit of a geek, the fantastic expression dig for victory, which was used to kind of encourage people to start growing more food to prevent people from having to ration so much. Perhaps we need a new slogan as well when it comes to nature-based solutions. We could go for dig for victory, but as a wetland fan and mud fan, I think we should go for soak for victory. Thank you very much.